snow is soft. We had the first snowstorm since end of December. We had a couple inches here and there, but it wasn't really meaningful. But it's been the best January because just the way the freeze-thaw cycle worked out. What I'm talking about today is self-mastery. I got a workshop coming up. You can find it at 7stepreset.com/mastery. Why is this different? It's different from what we've known to, or thought to be true for the last 200 years. And the reason it's different is under my umbrella of dynamic leadership. And the difference between like emotional intelligence and dynamic leadership is that we've moved everything upstream towards prevention. So while it's not prevention, it's the same way traction control prevents you from skidding. It's not really preventing a skid, it's just micro recovering so fast that you don't notice the skid. Now on motorcycles, it's more common to have dynamic traction control and dynamic suspension. And what they'll tell you is that when it's dynamic in front of traction control or dynamic in front of suspension or ABS, it's because the computer is in a feedback loop and adjusting in milliseconds. So as the motorcycle, when you start to lean, you have less traction because it's split between vectors. So if you're accelerating and you're leaning, you don't have the same traction as if you're upright. Same as on a bicycle. And what dynamic traction does, it adjusts based on your lean angle and it gets more sensitive. And it's also using the feedback, so as the tire begins to slip and the bike is leaned over, it adjusts more quickly. Same thing with dynamic traction control. And then dynamic suspension is also, seems like prevention or prediction. It's not really predicting what the road is doing. It's just that in the milliseconds, it's looking at the speed of the suspension movement, and depending on what's going on, it's adjusting rebound and compression damping on the fly. So it looks like it's predicting the road. It feels like it's predicting the road. It's not. And if you've ever taken traction control, turned it off on a car that has it, you know how useful it is. So dynamic leadership is taking emotional intelligence and moving everything upstream to, we're moving it from the conscious mind to the network of neurons, which is thought to be the subconscious mind for centuries. But thanks to the brain scanning tools, we know that the subconscious is not a mind, it's a network of neurons. We also know that you can predict where habits are looking at neural pathways based on the amount of myelin on a neuron and based on the amount of synapses between the neurons. In other words, it's predictive what's going on with habits